Hello,
Hi.
Dahlia Rae. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm just gonna ask you a lot of questions about like your artistry, and I don't know if you're aware of the issues going on with artists in the UK and censorship, and just your kind of journey as an artist. So where did you start? Where did you get your start in music?
Well, I've always did music. It was something that I always knew I wanted to do. Like, obviously, I started off as a singer, and you know, when you're a little girl, you just kind of want to be Beyonce and Destiny's Child. You know what I mean? So that was always sort of like the inspiration and the passion behind like me wanting to do music. As the years went on, I went to a performing arts school for my last 2 years of school, and then I was like, I want to do this properly. Like I like singing. I did a little bit of rapping in school, but it was obviously more so for like practical projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then people would say to me like, oh, like you're right at the rapping thing, you know, like you got the voice for it. So I was like, okay, cool. So when I left that school, I said I'm gonna do it properly. But then I had like the realization of I actually have to write my own music. Do you get what I'm saying? So I took like 2 years just like working on my writing and just understanding the process of writing and stuff like that, because that's one thing that the school didn't teach. It was more theory rather than actually getting yourself out there and sort of like teaching yourself how to write and stuff like that. So I'd say that's where it started from. That's where like the foundation and the inspiration for like where I am now is.
Yeah. So how do you get your inspiration for what you're gonna write in a song?
I don't.
You don't.
No,
you just think
like
about
I
it on
just
the spot.
literally like. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll be like, I want to write about this. I'll write down the concept. I'll brainstorm everything. And then I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm going to get to writing. And my mind is completely blank. I can't think of anything. And then I'll put on a completely different beat. And then something else will come to mind. You get what I'm saying? So there's definitely inspiration for things that I write about in certain songs, because I already have those themes and topics where like this is bothering me. You know what it is? When something's bothering me, that's when I write about it, because it's like I need to, like, I can't talk to my friends about it because I sound too political.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like I'll just write it in music, and I'd say that's where the inspiration comes from. Obviously the 2 songs that I've released are very more conscious based. Like I don't really have anything out there that's like vibe or anything like that. So that's why I can't really say like I'll get inspiration from those sort of things. Like the songs that I've had out there are out of frustration.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, because like Subliminals and Purpose, I really like those songs. How did you get to writing them? What was the themes in that?
So Subliminals came after like I had a bit of like a nervous breakdown sort of thing. And like I said, I had been practicing my writing up until that point. Like I had wrote little things, but nothing stuck. Like nothing felt like, yes, I'm happy to put this out there. And then I kind of went through like a little mental breakdown sort of thing. And I was listening to a lot of J Hus, like his Big Conspiracy album, and in that kind of mindset,
Great
everything
UK
just sounds,
album.
do you know what I mean? Everything just sounds like, wow, like, yeah, man. And then I remember it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was watching Snapchat, and I was watching these girls rap on Snap, and I was like, I could do better than this.
Yeah.
Confidence. And then I just put on the first beat. There was a producer that I would always listen to his beats, and I just put on the first beat that I seen, and it just came literally. And then I think I got like most of it done that night, and I said I'm gonna go sleep, I'm gonna finish it in the morning. Finished it the next day, and I said this is the one I'm gonna put out. And then for Purpose, it's interesting because with Purpose there's a line, the first line of the song I just wrote on like my Snapchat, like I didn't post anything, I just wrote it and I saved it, and for about a month or 2 I didn't do anything with it. And then I can't remember how I came across the beat, but I came across the beat and I was like, oh, I like this beat, it sounds really nice. For ages I just didn't do anything with it, and then I put on the beat and I was like, oh, maybe I could. I went through and I was like, oh my god, this. And then I started writing it, and again, like once I lock in, and I don't even know what locking in is, I just know that I'm in it, because everything just starts flowing.
Do you think writing is more of like a subconscious, like it really comes to you rather than you consciously thinking about it and thinking about what you're gonna write?
I think there's 2 different types of songwriters. To be honest, there's probably so many different types of songwriters, but in the question that you're asking, I'd say there's 2 different types. I'd say that there's the subconscious type where you can just put on a beat and things will come to mind, and you know, like maybe there's something that is like bothering you but you don't want to speak about, but because it's in your mind it will come out in the writing. And then there's the artists there's songwriters, because obviously remember, there's being a rapper, you don't you're not necessarily a songwriter, you just know how to write a rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, being a songwriter is being really intricate about what you're writing, being quite intentional about how you're structuring a song and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely intention behind if you are a songwriter and you know how to really structure a song, and then if you're also great at words, it just goes hand in hand. So yeah, I'd say it's two different. There's the
different crafts and different techniques. It's interesting how like they both kind of help each other anyways. How did that help with like you obviously being on Rap Games? You have to write raps quick.
I was scared to go on Rap Game because I was in like, I had before that I had a mad writer's block. Like, I hadn't wrote for ages, and then they reached out to me, and they give you challenges throughout the audition phase. And I did the first challenge and I was like, okay, cool, if I can do this, I can do the show. Then they gave me the audition, because they give you do like an audition tape, then you do your face audition, and then they give you like one last challenge and whatnot. And then when I did, it was the audition one that made me kind of like shook, because basically they gave me the challenge on the Sunday, my audition was on the Wednesday, and I had to write 24 bars about my hometown and include 5 words. Like, and the words were like takeaway, Andrew Tate, Skyline, and it's like, and I was literally, and it was on a drill beat, and I had never really wrote to drill before. I remember running into the kitchen to my mum like, Mum, I can't do this, I can't do this.
Was that like the intro video that we saw from like Rap Game promoting it?
No. See, I thought it was gonna be those bars. So when I actually did the show, like, I found that writing to a brief was a lot easier for me. Like, weirdly enough, it was a lot easier for me. Like, I liked getting the challenges where we had to write about a topic. The ones where it was just like free for all, I did absolutely terrible in them. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't like when you just give me the platform to do anything. Like, give me something to, you know. So I would say it helped with writing quickly, yes, but you have to go with your first thought. You can't sit and think about what you want to say. Like, if you say "and," you better be saying "and" in your performance. You can't change it, because like you haven't given your brain enough time to like actually memorize. Like, we was all saying, the rest of the class, we were all saying, like, when you're rapping, when you're rapping like to the guys, you're not rapping from like a long-term memory. Like, these are bars that have been sitting in your head. Like, you have to get it out right now. Do you get what I mean? So it was a difficult process, and it was challenging, but it was good. It felt good because it made me know like I can do it. You know. So
And you said on Rap Game Series 5 how you study criminology, obviously outside of music. Why is that important to you, and why did you think to do that?
Well, I've always liked crime. Weirdly enough. But no, like, I've always liked crime. I say, like, when I was younger, my mum used to watch a lot of Columbo and like Agatha Christie and Poirot and all those kind of shows, and I just liked the mystery element of it and solving crimes and understanding like why people do what they do. When I went to college, because when I left the music school, I went to college because I was like, I know I'm gonna do music. I'm gonna just like do what I need to do. I didn't want to go to like a music college or anything like that. So I went and I studied A-levels, and I was like, okay, cool, like I want to use my A-levels to eventually do criminology. Realised A-levels was a bit hard. I wasn't an academic babe. Dropped out of college. And then I was like, okay, cool, I'm just never going back to uni. But I knew I always wanted to study crime because I wanted to work with young people. So yeah, and then obviously I worked for about 2 years. COVID happened, and I went back to college. Like, I did an access course in law and criminology, and then yeah, like, it's just been follow through since then. But in terms of why that's important to me, I have the same passion of like wanting to see young people and artists strive, and I do feel like in the industry and from what I see on social media, like, not enough young people actually know their rights and stuff like that. So, you know, when they get stopped and searched, you know, you'll see them making a scene, but if you actually act calm and learn what you're supposed to say, you'll actually have a much better interaction with them. Although it's not nice to see, but there's just certain things that will lessen the outcome. Do you get what I'm saying? So for me, young people is where it is, and I want to be able to create a platform with music, create a community to then, you know, help young people and also help young people get into creative spaces, because I don't feel like there's enough of that now. You know, obviously youth centres get closed down. There's not enough money in like public health sectors and stuff like that. So I just want to be able to create a platform so I can put back in. I work with a youth organisation now, and even though the aspect of it is creative, they also have partnerships with like law firms and stuff like that. So if a young person wants to go and do like law or anything that's like corporate, you know, you've got the avenue to do that as well. So that's sort of kind of where it's at.
And in terms of like music and like youth crime, how do you feel on police censorship and censoring artists for like, the things they're talking about, their life experiences in their music?
It's interesting because I had a lecture about this 2 weeks ago. And I personally don't feel like lyrics should be used in court, because if you're going to use drill lyrics in court, then country music should be used in court, rock music should be used in court. Any type of music that is very descriptive and is, you know, talking about life experiences, I don't personally feel like it should be used in court, and definitely not marginalise people at the end of the day. I think the stigmatisation of drill is what is the issue, because it feels like there is a tunnel vision focus on wanting to just stop this. Do you get what I mean? But you're not going to stop rock, you're not going to stop country, because they're such big genres. Do you get what I'm saying? And even though you don't think of country in that sense, if you actually look at the lyrics, they're saying the exact same thing as you know, some of the people that are doing drill, but because of the way that it's being played, you know, and I feel like them saying that drill is like a driving force for youth crime and life crime and stuff like that, statistically is a lie. You know, so and it doesn't make sense to me that evidence will continuously show one thing but they'll keep pushing for another thing. So I don't feel like in terms of diminishing and the artistic expression, I don't think that they should be allowed to do that, because if you look at the law as well, the law is very literal, whereas art is down to one's interpretation. Like, it's very, very metaphorical. It's creative. Do you get what I'm saying? You cannot put something creative in a literal sense. It doesn't go hand in hand. So
why do you think it's just drill music that's getting all the slack, and it's not things like rock music or pop music, and it really is just young people making music about their experiences, and that's what's coming up in court instead of other genres?
Well, obviously, if you look at drill, they're talking about very, very real life experiences. And in the UK, black people, marginalised people, they are more impoverished. Do you get what I'm saying? And this is me kind of speaking conspiracy wise, but I don't know if they want to keep us there. I don't know if it benefits the system to have an overrepresentation of something. I honestly couldn't give you like a straightforward factual answer of that, because it's hard to say when you have politicians that never answer a question. You know, they will go around it and give you so many different angles, but they will never actually answer a question. So we can only assume why, you know what I'm saying? And it's disheartening to see, because as much as this is an issue systematically, it's also an issue within the communities as well. Like, we're not helping each other in the community to stop this. Like, don't get me wrong, where drill started and where drill is now, it's come a very, very long way, but it's still depicting the same thing. So over that span of time, why has nothing changed in that sense? Do you get what I mean? And why are we not doing enough to sort of change the narrative then? Like, I do see people that will go online and go on like BBC News and they'll say like, this shouldn't happen, or rare, like, you shouldn't be able to do this, which is fine, but how much is actually being done, the foundation of it, how much to change it.
And it's so true, because even with police, they're not clear on what the actual issue is. It's like they're picking and choosing who they want to target, and it's just not fair on artists who just want to be creative and talk about their experiences in their music.
It's just the fact, the way that it's being portrayed in drill is why it's an issue. When you think about estates, it's not just black people that live on estates.
Exactly,
it's not just Asian.
everyone.
Do you get what I'm saying? So everyone is collectively experiencing the same thing. That's why you can get a little white boy that relates to what some of these kids are saying. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's... And one thing you have to remember, these politicians and these people in the top 1%, they don't understand what it's like to live on an estate, you know, not have food in the fridge, not having enough money, have to think about, can I go to school or can I eat, sort of thing. Do you get what I mean? So until they experience it, which they never will, it's always going to be a thing of, we're going to push the wrong thing, because they don't understand, they can't comprehend, like, why is this a thing?
Yeah, do you think like drill music influences audiences in any way, shape or form? Like, do you think young people are listening to these songs and thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing? Or do you think other factors are obviously contributing to the issue and we need to highlight those issues instead?
Well, music is influential anyway, so of course drill will influence. In If we're talking in terms of does it influence violent behavior, I would say that is down to each person and their judgment and their discernment at the end of the day. Like, if someone, like for example, the Columbine shooting, those boys, they listened to like rock and stuff like that, and you know, they got in their mind and they went and done a whole school shooting. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's down to people and how their minds are wired at the end of the day. And one thing we do have to remember, young people are very influential. Do I feel like it influences violent behavior? No, I don't, because youth crime and like knife crime has always been an issue. Do you get what I'm saying? Some of the more violent drill I don't really like and listen to. The ones that talk about all of that stuff, but at the same time, like, I cannot diminish someone's artistic expression at the end of the day. It's a hard question to answer because I know that music influences people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you was to ask someone, does drill influence young people to do this? If they say no, there's a bit of a lie in there, because like it does in a sense, and this is me talking from like a criminology background. Like, I understand that people do get influenced by certain things, and you know will, especially if you see representation, because I think representation in certain aspects and areas is important. When you see someone that looks like you doing something, you're gonna think, wow, like I can do it too, in a good aspect. But if we flip that, it can also be in a bad aspect as well.
Yeah.
And that's my God's honest truth. Like, yes and no. Yes and no. I think it depends on the people you're around, the type of mindset you have, and the type of environment that you grow up in at the end of the day. And, you know, environment is more important, because if you've got a household that is neglectful and quite abusive, that's all you know. So, and if you listen to something like that, it can influence that. Do you get what I mean? Like, it might make you a bit more angrier. It might make you lash out a bit more. You know what I mean? But I guess, again, it's down to one's discernment.
100%. And like, as an artist yourself, have you had any issues with censorship, or do you know of anybody who's had issues with censorship from law enforcement?
I've not had any personal issues, and I don't know anyone personally, but obviously you hear about you know, the stuff in like the media, like, and the biggest one I've heard was obviously AMN Skendo with the gang, it was Gang Junction, I think. Those guys, they had that one, and Digger D, of course we hear about him all the time. Gigs, you know, Lethal Bizzle. Like, there's a lot of people that in the UK in their early days, they were censored, they were stopped from doing shows. They the police brought in, I can't remember what it's called, but when grime first came in, the police brought in like this risk assessment thing for
Form
venues,
696,
something like that. They brought this form in for venues to disclose who was performing, and on the original form it had the ethnicity of the person, if they were black, white, and if the person was black, they weren't allowed to perform, basically.
And it asked about like what's the type of audience you're bringing in, what ethnicity is it,
so it's like so this is not a new thing, you know. Stopping, you know, ethnic minority communities doing music isn't a new thing, and again, it doesn't work. Like, how many times do we have to like show you guys it doesn't work? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, poverty and what's it call it? There's just so I can't remember all of the factors that have like risen youth violence. But if they actually attended to those, maybe you wouldn't see a reduction in it. You know what I mean? Like, just attend to the things that are actually a concern, and maybe, because music is not a concern, it's always going to be there. Someone's always going to write music like this, and if this person does it, then that person will. You know?
It's what you said, like, music definitely influences people, but I don't think that's the main contribution to what's going on. And I think if these politicians actually put focus on the other issues that are going on within their own system, they can look at their own faults and make better judgment by what's going on, because you can't be blaming like an artist form for that's why people are doing this. It kind of seems like a cop-out and an excuse.
But it's a bad one though. It's a bad excuse, because at the end of the day, like, we're real life people that have to experience these things. Like, to them, we're a number, we're a statistic. Like, we're a person on a what's it call it? You know, them forms, like the electoral form. Like, we're just a number to them. At the end of the day, we're a vote to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't see us as real people. Like, and put it into perspective of this, when we hear about 20,000 people have been killed. To us, that's a number, but that's 20,000 real lives that are no longer here. Do you get what I mean? And to them, we are exactly the same.
Yeah, so, and not only is it affecting, obviously, those people that are going through the crime, it's affecting other people, their families, everyone they know. It's affecting wider people. In terms of, like, censorship then, and, like, crime rates in the UK, how do you think this issue will progress in the future? Do you think it will improve? Do you think it will stay the same?
I think it will always be an ongoing issue if the same people are in the system. You know, if the same people are in the Metropolitan Police, if the same people are in government, if the same people are on all the youth justice boards, if, you know what I'm saying, like, if it's the same type of people with the same type of mindset, this is going to be an ongoing issue. I feel like if there's, and I say this because I know that there's people that will go into these systems with, like, the best intentions of wanting to change things, but because it's already a built-up foundation and they have to abide by the government, they have to abide by certain things, it slowly starts to break them down. So I just, personally, the whole system just needs a rework, but, you know, that would do a lot of damage at the same time. So I do feel like it will be an ongoing issue. I don't see anything changing. If we look back in time, it's just a continuation of history.
Yeah, and in terms of, like, the positive aspects of drill, because we've seen drill is successful on a mainstream scale.
People's lives.
Exactly. How do you think shows like Rap Game and other shows like that are celebrating artists in the UK?
I don't think there's enough shows like that, to be honest with you. I don't think there's enough platforms like that. I think it's a double-edged sword, because in one aspect it's changing people's lives and it's amazing, but then there's not enough platforms to be able to change a mass amount of people's lives. I feel like, you know, we have our token people in drill like Digga D, Ross, Tion Wayne, that's amazing. And then because we've got so many subgenres now, so we've got like Afro drill, soul, grime sort of drill sort of thing, like we've got that now where we're seeing more up and coming artists, you know, make a little name for themselves, but I don't see them getting any further than kind of like a little buzz on TikTok and stuff like that. So I think there needs to be a sort of a middle ground where it's like, okay, cool, you're bubbling now, let's push you here. I just feel like there just needs to be a few more platforms there, but that goes back to what I was saying about us as a community. We're not doing enough, personally. Like, I think we're doing things, but we're not doing enough. Like, we're still having these same conversations. We shouldn't still be having these same conversations. Like, maybe the context of the conversation is the same, but it should be progressing. Why are we still having the same conversations? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just how I see things. I think it's amazing what it's being able to do, but we just need a bit more of it, just a bit more minds coming together and, you know,
and fixing the issue. Basically. But thank you so much. Thank you for answering all the questions.
Of course.